truly believed that I was meant to be overweight my entire life.
Hi, my name is Sarah. If this is the first time you're seeing my face, I'm so happy that you're here. As the title of this video suggests, today I'm going to be talking about my weight loss journey and specifically overcoming my generational family obesity and sort of my limiting beliefs that kept me being overweight for the majority of my life. Okay, we're gonna get comfy and I have my notes on my laptop, which I'm gonna be reading from.
I think for me, I wanted to really distinguish the fact that I came from a generationally obese family versus somebody who maybe grew up thin and gained weight later in their life. The reason I want to point this out is because I think when you come from a generationally obese family, I truly believed that I was meant to be overweight my entire life. I distinctly remember telling a friend of mine that I was like, oh, I think my body naturally wants to sit around 160. And the thing that's crazy about me even saying that was that I had no idea if that was even true. Like, I just was kind of like so convinced in my head that I was truly just genetically meant to be a bigger person, when that was just not the case at all. When I was growing up, my parents were both overweight. My grandmother was overweight. She had type 2 diabetes. When I would sort of talk about my weight to my mom, it was always this sort of like, I don't know if it was trying to preserve my feelings or if this was just truly how she felt as well, but it was always this sort of like, genetics play a role in it, and like, we're just an overweight family, and I'm sorry that we gave you these bad genes. And obviously you don't want to be hurting your own parents' feelings, so you don't want to be like, ugh, mom, why did you give me these fat genes, you know? Always felt like this mystery to me, how other people and other families could be so slim. And it just felt like I just had this poor draw in life. Like, it was something that was just completely outside of my control. My parents didn't really know how to cook or were overwhelmed with work, and so the food that we ate at home was very like not good. Like, we would eat canned green beans and like pork chops and meatloaf. I was a very picky eater growing up. I didn't really know how to eat vegetables, which, to be fair to me, my parents and grandparents did not cook vegetables very well. They were very gross and mushy. I just didn't have appetizing options presented to me of healthy whole foods. In my house, there was a lot of processed foods. We had a lot of chips, cookies. I grew up eating a lot of processed foods. I also grew up eating a lot of fast food. That was sort of like, my grandparents loved fast food. They were old and they just didn't want to cook, and my grandpa loved like Wendy's and Arby's and all of that, so we would eat a lot of fast food when I would go visit them. And also, it's like when you're visiting your grandparents, it's like a treat. Like, you get to enjoy all these fun things. But then I would go home and I would be eating. I remember as a teenager just eating, like grabbing a bag of Cheeto Puffs and sitting in front of the couch and just like eating out of it mindlessly. And I really didn't start knowing how to cook food on my own and knowing how to eat balanced food until I really started my weight loss journey, which wasn't until 2023. I just am saying this to emphasize that this was like into being an adult and just feeling so lost. That's how I felt a lot of my youth and my young adult life, was I just felt lost. And I think if you grow up in that way, I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling. When did I decide to lose weight and how did that get started? I have this distinct memory. This was in 2023. So one of my friends was a hairstylist, and I was also finally starting to make my own adult money. And I was actually getting to spend money on myself and do things that I wanted to do. And I had never really gone to like a nice hair salon. I'd never really gotten my hair highlighted or colored or anything like that before. And so I actually had the money and I was really wanting to improve my appearance. I spent $250 at the salon getting this brand new hair. And I always loved when I went to the hair salon, because then I would usually want to go out and do something fun afterwards to kind of like show off my new hair, you know? I asked Connor to take me to this pizza place that was nearby, and they had a cute little outdoor area. So remember, we sat outside and the sun was on me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for a picture. And I remember he was taking the pictures and I would look at them and I was so unhappy with how they looked. And I was getting frustrated with him, actually, because I was like, he's just not getting my angles right. Like, I thought I had trained him better than this. Like, why is he taking these pictures and they look so bad? I was looking at them later and I just realized, like, oh, I'm just like fat. Like, I just look really fat in these pictures. So that was a really sad moment for me. You spend this money to feel beautiful and to feel good about yourself, even it to still boil down to that I was just unhappy the whole of my appearance from my weight. I was at a point in my life as well where this was 2023. We were still sort of coming back from COVID. I was finally making some progress in my career that I was in at the time. I realized that my life was very much centered around my career and about trying to make money and to prove myself and to prove that this degree that I got was worth it. But the reality of it was that I had no hobbies, I had no creative interests, I was not taking care of myself. Now, actually talking about it, I really do feel like I was using food as a way to cope with the stress of this job. That's crazy. I literally woke up one day and I was like, Sarah, you have no discipline. Like, I had no personal discipline when it came to things for myself. Like, I could show up to work on time and I could work really hard at work, but I was like, why can't I apply that same mindset to myself? I just don't have discipline. I don't know how to create structures for myself to take care of myself or to pursue my creative hobbies and interests. And like, what am I really doing with my life? Like, what are my goals? Like, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? Like, I couldn't even answer those questions. I also just felt that people weren't taking me seriously, and I felt that a lot of it was because of my weight. While there was an aspect that I wanted to lose weight for myself, a lot of it was driven by the fact that I want people to take me seriously, and I don't want the first thing that people think about me when they see me is, oh, she's fat. I never wanted that to be something that was the first thing that came to people's mind when they thought about me. I wanted my ideas or my personality to be what shines about me. I had this realization and I said, I need to focus on being disciplined. I need to lose this weight. And this is sort of the first step that I'm going to take on kind of bettering myself and pursuing myself as a project. So the first thing I did was I stepped on the scale, which I hadn't done in a long time. And the scale read at 218 pounds. And that was very shocking for me. I kind of had always held this belief in my mind of, oh, as long as I'm under 200 pounds, I'm not overweight. And here I was, 218 pounds, and I was like, oh, like this is a problem. And I knew in my head that it was already going to be hard to get down from here. And I knew that if I didn't do anything about it, that it was only going to be harder. I was like, I can't let this get out of control anymore, and like I have to act now, basically. Then I was like, all right, I'm gonna start doing my weight loss journey, and here is what I'm gonna do. I went to the internet. Some really helpful resources were I found the Reddit page r/lose it, and this is a huge Reddit page that's all dedicated to people losing weight. Everybody on there is on a similar journey. I also looked on YouTube and TikTok, and I found creators that were either on weight loss journeys or had gone through weight loss journeys that shared their experience. And pretty quickly I learned that the only way to successfully lose weight is to eat in a calorie deficit. Now I want to say that I was initially very hesitant to do a calorie deficit because when I was in high school, I had tried to lose weight, but I was eating way too little. I was eating 1,200 calories a day because I thought, oh, this is the fastest way that I can lose weight. And just because it's the fastest doesn't mean that it's safe or correct. So I learned that you can eat in a calorie deficit, but that doesn't mean that you have to be essentially starving yourself. I used the Lose It app. I downloaded that and I just started tracking my calories, and I also inputted all of my information and it told me this is how much you should be eating every day. So then obviously you start to realize, oh, I'm trying to lose weight, but when you start tracking what you're actually eating every day, you're like, oh, like I actually don't know what to eat. I started doing a lot of research about what breakfasts I could eat, lunches I could eat, dinners that were easy, and I started to learn how to manage your calories throughout the day. I also think a key part is learning to cook. For about the first year of my weight loss journey, I was only tracking my calories and eating in a deficit, and that was how I lost weight. I started this new job and I just completely fell off of my tracking. I was just sort of succumbing to the social norms of the job, and I was eating chicken tenders or pizza. I weighed myself actually at the end of that job in the summer, and I had gained back about 7 pounds. That was really frustrating to feel like I made that setback, and I was definitely disappointed in myself. What actually made a big difference for me was the next job that I worked after that. A friend of mine who I had worked with before, she actually opened up to me about her own weight loss. And talking to her about that made me realize that I can do this. Like, she had been in a similar situation to me, and she had successfully lost about 70 pounds at the time. And it was just very inspiring to me, and to hear her story and that she just kept with it. And it really helped get me back on track. Wherever you're at in the journey, you can always get started again. That just because you fell off, or your life changed, or maybe you went through grief in your life, or whatever the situation may be, like, that's okay. Like, we're humans. Like, life happens and we can't just stop it because we're losing weight, but you can always choose to come back to it. Then I decided that I wanted to go to the gym and I wanted to start working out, because I felt like when I got to my goal weight and I got all the extra fat, I wanted to look really good and toned and strong. About a year after I initially started losing weight was when I started going to the gym. I expressed this to my fiance, and he was very kind enough to actually go to our local gym, sort of figure it out for me, because I was very stressed about, like, oh my gosh. And I think we tell ourselves when we're fat, like, that there's people are going to judge us, or people are not going to want us there. And I quickly realized that nobody cares that you're there. Everybody is just there to do their own thing. The gym is really a place that people just go to use this equipment. I've actually found that going to the gym is most beneficial for my mental state. When I go to the gym in the morning, it helps clear my head. I feel more relaxed during the day. I sleep better at night. And in the grand scheme of things, I really only go for about 45 minutes in the morning. So it really doesn't take up that much of my day, but it makes a huge impact on my life. I go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week for about 45 minutes to an hour each. I prioritize upper body and lower body workouts, and sometimes I do abs when I kind of have time for it. I also enjoy hiking and walking, and I try to do that either on my rest day or my weekends. Now this brings me to the next part, which is I've decided I wanted to lose weight. I started losing weight. I started going to the gym. And then I got to the long, boring part, which was just doing it. For me, I had about 70 to 80 pounds that I ultimately want to lose. This is the part where you've figured it out and you know what you like to eat and you know when you need to go to the gym, and you just do it. This was when I really started to build in this being my lifestyle rather than this huge change in my life. So while I think that this is the boring part, this I think is the part that really solidifies this being a lifestyle rather than this is something I'm doing to lose weight. It just becomes how you live, and it just becomes easier, which is really nice, and it's really a relief to feel like you have this control over yourself. I know that if I eat these things and if I eat in this way, that I'm gonna lose weight. And like, how cool is that? I feel so much more confident and so much more in control. It just doesn't feel like this elusive mystery anymore. I actually think it's a really great exercise in managing how can I continue to make choices that will benefit me and my goals, but also continue to live my life and incorporate all of this into one cohesive lifestyle. I will also say that there have been times during this, you do lose focus. Like over the holidays, I chose to just kind of eat in my maintenance calories, and I chose to not really be as strict with what I was eating. But it can be very hard when you take those breaks to get back into your calorie tracking. Like when you're in a deficit, like I'm hungry. I am hungry when I'm eating in my deficit, and of course I feel full after I eat a meal, but there's stretches of the day where I'll just be kind of hungry for like a few hours, and you just kind of have to get used to it, and that's just what it takes. And something I always remind myself is that it's okay to be hungry. I can be hungry and the next meal is coming. So where does this put me at now? Have I finished my weight loss and have I reached all my goals? No. I started my weight loss journey, like I said, at 218 pounds, and I recently hit 173, which means that I'm celebrating losing 45 pounds. I truly couldn't believe this when I hit this goal. I feel so proud of myself, and this felt like a big landmark number, because like 45 pounds, like that's a significant amount. And I actually was able to start telling on my body and noticing the difference, and that felt insane to me. Like I couldn't believe that this is actually happening. I went from wearing a size 16 pant, 33 waist, to now I'm between a 10 and an 8. I also used to wear an extra large in tops and bottoms, and now I am between a medium and a large, which is crazy. It's like I don't even think about myself in that way. I also think that this journey is like a gift that keeps on giving, because learning to do that and have that discipline and developing the confidence from knowing that my hard work does pay off has led me to be more confident in other areas of my life, such as starting this channel and starting to share my journey with you, because before this I had no confidence and now I do. Losing weight truly is one of the hardest things that I've ever done, and it has challenged me and my mindset in so many ways, but I think that the benefits that I've gotten from it truly cannot be overstated, and I would do it again and again to have these results. That is the story of my weight loss and where I'm at now. If you're someone who's grown up overweight or consider yourself generationally obese, you're not alone. I felt that way too. You can be a healthy weight and you are not subject to being overweight your entire life. If I can do it, I know that you can do it. That brings me to the end of today's video. I hope that you enjoyed hearing my story, and that if you yourself grew up overweight, I hope that you found this inspiring. Just because of what you've been through in your life thus far does not mean that that defines you as to where you're going in life. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content regarding weight loss or just my life in general, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am so excited to share more with you guys as we grow. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.